We have lots to discuss here in today's video, including a variety of NHL trade talk around a bunch of teams, including the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Nashville Predators, and Steven Stamkos. We're going to discuss that scenario a little bit further. One NHL reporter has mentioned a couple more teams to take a look at and might be able to make sense for Stamkos to move along. Plus, we have some other talk around the Habs, the Islanders, as well as the Blues. Plus, we have some updates as well on a signing with the Devils and goalie Jacob Markstrom, a bunch of injury updates and roster moves. Plus, we have the Rookie of the Month has been named, as well as the top 3 stars for the month of October. A lot more coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have lots to discuss here in today's video. We'll kick things off first with a signing in New Jersey. This actually came pretty late into the evening last night after I'd already finished up yesterday's video. Jacob Markstrom and the New Jersey Devils have agreed on a 2-year contract extension. We've known for a while that they've been having some discussions about keeping Markstrom in the fold for at least a few more years. There was a lot of speculation he was looking for a 3 or 4 year extension, but they've settled on 2, and it's a $6 million salary per season. So really considering they've signed Jake Allen back up as well in a 5-year deal in the offseason. They've extended Markstrom. They've got their veteran tandem here for the next, well, probably between the two, at least 3 years, this year and 2 more at the very least. We'll see what happens with Nico Daws. Obviously, like I said, there's still not a clear path for him to the NHL. There's definitely teams that have been asking about Daws for sure. I don't think New Jersey feels like they're in a rush or in a need to absolutely have to move him, but if the right offer comes along, I think they absolutely have to entertain it, just if nothing else, to give Daws the opportunity to do right by him. Otherwise, he's going to be stuck for the remainder of his contract in the minor leagues and only be a call-up option if one of the other 2 guys gets hurt, which is sure something he doesn't really want. So we'll see how this extension impacts Daws, but pretty good deal keeping Markstrom around here for a while. Some other roster moves as well. The Avalanche today recalled Taylor Makar to make his NHL debut against the San Jose Sharks. Of course, yes, that is the brother of Cale Makar. So both Makar brothers on the ice together with the Avalanche. I'm sure that was a very special moment for the family as well. The Avalanche unfortunately did lose to the Sharks in overtime. The Washington Capitals today recalled Spencer Smallman. Now, Spencer Smallman is a local product for me personally here in New Brunswick. He was actually born in PEI, but spent a lot of time here in Fredericton in New Brunswick. His dad actually runs one of the big youth hockey programs here in our city, Champions Hockey, and he's got to play his junior hockey not too far from here in the province of New Brunswick as well, the St. John Sea Dogs, and has basically been a career minor leaguer. 29 years old, has been a really good American Hockey League player, spent time in, I believe, in the East Coast League as well. Like, he's really put in the time, is becoming a hockey lifer, never gave up on his dream. There was word tonight with the Capitals that he may only get in the lineup if Dylan Strome did not, because Strome was a game time decision. I know Dubois was also hurt last night in their last game, but Strome did get into the lineup. He took warm-ups and is playing, so Smallman is not in the lineup, so he did not get to make his NHL debut. Obviously, like I said, for me, somebody I will root for, just given the local connection here, and obviously my hometown has not produced a lot of NHL players, so when you have a guy like that with an opportunity, especially with a story like that and a long road that he spent trying to get there, I certainly hope he gets into a game before he gets sent back down. But the 29-year-old Smallman is at least with the club for sure. The Leafs are back in action tonight as well. Chris Tanev is back in the lineup. He's been activated. Dakota Mermis has been sent back to the American Hockey League. The Sens are doing battle with the Habs tonight, but they did send Levi Marilina back to the American Hockey League again. Allmark is playing tonight, and they have 4 days off after today, so they wanted Marilina to not be sitting around too long. They did this once earlier, back about a week ago as well. He'll go down and play 1 or 2 games with Belleville over that 4-day period, and then be back with the club when their next game resumes here. And then Hunter Shepard, of course, has been recalled to back up Allmark tonight as they do battle at the Bell Center. Longtime NHL goaltender Ilya Samsonov found himself looking for work and not getting any offers, or at least nothing he was willing to accept this past offseason. He's now officially made a decision and returned back to Russia. He has re-signed with a KHL club for this season, so I'm not sure if we'll see him back in NHL again or not. Obviously, he kind of was an up and down goalie. Had a good start to Capitals, but then things kind of they lost confidence in him, let him go, went to the Leafs for a while, was kind of okay, but, ultimately came up short in the big moments and then kind of just bounced around here a little bit and didn't really, grab a starting role anywhere. So, he had played in Vegas for a little while, but Samsonov's run in the NHL has come to an end. We'll see if it ever resumes itself down the road. Brad Marchand, after a leave from the Panthers, of course, doing some, good things with his close friends. Of course, as we know, Marchand had a close friend and trainer of his lose a young child, and was back home to help with his friend's hockey club, as he's helped coach a little bit, and of course, want to be there for his friend as well. And obviously had a little bit of time away there, but he's back in the Panthers lineup tonight, and he already had a goal early on for Florida as well. So he's officially back at her. Capo Caco may make his season debut tonight as well. Of course, he was hurt in the preseason, so the Kraken might get some extra reinforcements in their lineup. We'll see if he ends up in the lineup or not. The Edmonton Oilers also have added to their front office staff as well, hiring Andy Slaggert into their hockey ops department as their new director of North American recruiting. He previously spent 37 years working at the University of Notre Dame. The 3 stars of the month: Jack Eichel, Mark Scheifele, and Jakub Dobeš, the Montreal Canadiens. Dobeš has quietly kind of taken the starting job from Samuel Montembeault. Montembeault is in the lineup tonight against the Senators. Of course, they are on a back-to-back as well, which is probably why that's the case, of course. But Dobeš has had a phenomenal start to the season. And not only, like I said, is he one of the top rookies, but he gets to top 3 stars of the whole league for the month. So that's phenomenal. Eichel and Scheifele have been doing phenomenal as well. The rookie of the month is first overall pick for the 2025 NHL draft. Outstanding young defenseman Matthew Schaefer, the New York Islanders, who put up 8 points in 11 games. He's, I believe, third in rookie scoring, but he's playing a bigger role in his team and logging more minutes as it basically became the team's top defenseman, playing in pretty well all situations. Right off the bat for Patrick Wall and the Islanders, Schaefer's had a very impressive start to his young career. I know a lot of people seem to have it all wrapped up and gifted for Ivan Demidov to be the Rookie of the Year this year before the season started. And while I do think Demidov is very talented, will likely have an impressive season, I do think Schaefer, as I mentioned in my early season predictions, I think Schaefer is going to end up taking the trophy, mainly because, like I said, he's playing a bigger role for his team than pretty well anybody else, logging massive minutes and doing exceptionally well in the process. So he doesn't have to be as a top D-man, the top point getter. Oftentimes a top point getter either wins a trophy or at the very least is considered by many fans to be the front runner, but there's a lot more to this than just points. And to be honest, I'm not even sure, as much as I think Demidov's a phenomenal young player, if things continue the way they are, he might not even be the front runner of the top rookie on his team. Dobeš might have him beat. The young goaltender is going to be making the conversation for this trophy, and it's going to make things very, very interesting. Now, he's had, like I said, an incredibly hot start in the first month of the season. That's going to be really, really tough for him to sustain. Now, if he does, then he might not only be in the Calder Trophy, he might be in more than just that conversation. But like I said, it's very early. Some of these early numbers are going to be very tough to keep up for an entire 82-game campaign. So we'll have to wait and see where things go. But Dobeš could have him be right in that conversation too. And if he plays, depending on how many games he plays, like him and Schaefer might have an argument to be the most 2 valuable rookies to their teams. And not only that, but like the most valuable people to their teams. Obviously, you're going to see some of the top stars of the game produce probably at some higher levels and be more of the Hart Trophy type of players. But, they've both proven to be incredibly valuable for their clubs so far. So we'll have to wait and see how things go. But, Demidov will be in the conversation, no doubt. But there's going to be some top talented players in that conversation as well. And it's by no means a foregone conclusion who is going to win the Calder Trophy. Now, as I mentioned, a bunch of rumors. We'll start with the Leafs. Lots of talk around Nick Robertson and David Kampf still being available, still trying to find a way to move these contracts so they can consider other things. We've heard, like I said, Nick Robertson's been in and out of the rumor mill for quite a long stretch of time. They've yet to find a deal that they feel makes sense for them. David Kampf, now there's some rumors about him that I've seen, and I haven't seen it from a national reporter with a lot of sources, we'll say, but I know there's one group that I follow that seems to think that David Kampf and the Leafs are going to end up terminating his contract. I just don't know how that makes sense for him. As much as that would do the Leafs an incredibly huge favor to get that off their books and give them some newfound cap space, but he's probably never going to get re-signed for that kind of money. So, I mean, the only way it makes sense for him to have it, completely wiped out is if he's confident that he's going to be able to make majority of that money back elsewhere, right? And I just don't see how that's going to be the case. I mean, for a player that clearly has found himself out of favor with the coaching staff in Toronto. I mean, even with the Scott Laughton injury, Kampf can't get in the lineup, and he's not going to give you much in the way of offense, but he typically is a responsible fourth-line center. He's going to be okay on face-off, can help you kill some penalties. He typically is smart enough to be able to, play that role effectively. But if you want a fourth-line center that can, give you a little bit more of an offensive push, then you're probably not going to get that. But I don't know. I've seen those speculation online. I don't see how it makes sense. If it turns out to be true, of course, we'll talk about it and report on it. But ultimately, I think the Leafs are going to find a way to move his contract, or they're going to keep trying till they do. I just don't see Kampf agreeing to that. But again, we'll see. Both players very much in the mix. Jeff Marek has more discussions around the Steven Stamkos situation. We've talked a bit about him in recent days as well. Marek's take on Stamkos in Nashville is essentially that, yes, he might be 35, but he doesn't think that this is a case of regression with him in Nashville and his numbers being so down. He thinks it's just not a good fit and just hasn't worked, and you get him on another team around some different talented players, it's a better fit for him, and that he'll, kind of play better and get back to being productive again. He said, look at this last year in Tampa. It just doesn't see the drop-off being so drastic over the course of one season. It just doesn't make a lot of sense, but when you factor in who he's playing with, the style of play, and everything else, and then, of course, with a lot of losing, does weigh itself on the mind mentally. I think some players kind of get checked out after a while. I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm just, there's lots of things that can go into it, right? So you just don't know. But he does talk again about Vancouver, who other reporters have mentioned as being an interested party. Even mentions a team, even like Montreal, might even be interested with the Patrick Laine injury. Maybe a Laine for Stamkos trade too, because if you look at the money, that would be tough to do for a lot of teams. But he mentions that for Nashville to move Stamkos, regardless of what other people think about his production, if he can get it back or not, they're going to have to retain money if they move him. So he's saying, we're talking about a $4 million Stamkos, not an $8 million Stamkos. So we'll see. He still has 2 years left in his contract beyond the current season, so it's not going to be easy for them to do. Teams are going to have to be confident that he'll bounce back should they make a move. But, of course, we've heard some other people mention the Maple Leafs because of the hometown connection. The Leafs looking for a top six forward. But again, are they confident that if he were to come in, that he could get things going again and be the answer to some of their issues, right? That's the risky part. If they make that move and it doesn't work out, they're in really rough shape again with trying to find more scoring. So we'll see. But Stamkos will be a name to watch for sure. As I mentioned yesterday, I can't help but wonder if things don't get much better at some point, if we're going to see Barry Trotz behind the bench and start seeing a few trades of some of the veteran guys off the team. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, another article I was looking at as well from RG.org talking about some of the other centers. There's lots of teams looking for centers, and there's not a lot of middle six or higher end ones that are remotely available right now, which is making it tough for teams to make moves. But some of the names that they watch are mentioned in this article to watch here. Could be, we know St. Louis hasn't had a good start to the season, so could Braden Schen's name resurface? So it came up last year as well. There was a lot of teams, including Toronto and his old coach, Craig Berube, who were quite interested in bringing him to Toronto, and things didn't work out. I think Schenn preferred to stay in St. Louis, so I think a lot of that was his own doing. I don't know what kind of offers or how deep conversations got around that, but there was definitely interest on Toronto's side. Schen's name, according to this article, should be a name that we expect to pop up more and more, especially if the Blues don't get things turned around. And it also mentions here about not only Schen's name, but wondering about some of the other veterans. Are they going to want to continue to, plug away here at a team that might need to be retooled a bit? Looking at guys like Kyrou and Thomas and Parayko, etc. I mean, there was a lot of rumors about Kyrou in the offseason, and he had a no trade kicking in, and that's obviously, on the books now, so he'd have to agree to it. But again, you need to give up value to get value. Will we see more to St. Louis? I think it's early yet. Doug Armstrong has proven numerous times that he can be incredibly patient and wait to make sure he can properly evaluate his team and know what they've got or don't got and what they need to do. So I don't see Doug Armstrong rushing into anything myself. I can see him taking this as a little bit of a slow burn here, even if things don't get turned around. But yeah, I do agree with the sentiment that there's going to be a lot of names on that team that even if Doug Armstrong is not actively shopping, he's going to be getting lots of interest, lots of phone calls, and it will definitely be an interesting team to watch. It also references the New York Islanders and Bo Horvat. Now, again, we don't know that the Islanders even want to trade Horvat. For all intents and purposes, Horvat's a player that appears to be happy where he is, and we don't know that the Islanders want to trade a guy like Horvat or Barzal or any of their top centermen. But again, a player on a team that's not expected to be super high in the standings, has had an okay start to the season, but not great. They will definitely get interest. There's no doubt. I mean, the article does mention the Habs as being an option because we know that the Habs probably would like to add a centerman. They have lots of assets to make this kind of trade happen as well, to make things interesting for sure. And a guy like Horvat would probably be a great fit there. Also back to Vancouver where he originally came from. I would also throw that in there too. I think there's some desire that maybe understand that they probably made the wrong move trading Horvat in the first place. But at this rate, like I said, not a lot of centers on the market. The article kind of reiterates the point that Schenn and Horvats they're going to be getting interest. Whether or not either of them get moved, it's another story. Lots of teams, like I said, whether it be Vancouver, whether it be Montreal, looking for centers. We know the Leafs are looking for a winger. Lots of other teams looking for the type of help as well. There's going to be a lot of interest in some of these guys. But again, until we start to see a little bit more movement in the market, things open up and teams kind of be a little bit more defined on what they are, which is usually around the 20-game mark. That's probably when we'll start to see a little bit of increase in activity. So we will see what happens, but let me know your thoughts on all today's news and rumors in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with the latest news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.